Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roger Zhengyan Liu from National Tsinghua University, and this project is a joint work with HUANG at Academia Sinica, and the title is Prosodic Realization of Enclitics in Takitudu Bunun, a corpus study. So first, let us introduce Bunun and its varieties. Bunun is an Austronesian language spoken in central and southern Taiwan in the and it has five dialects in three branches: Takitudu, Takibaka, Takbanuas, Takibatan, and Isbukun in northern, central, and southern branches. The source of our data in this study is the Taiwan Austronesian Indigenous Words and Narrations, dubbed as GLOCA, or for someone more familiar with Chinese, it is called 族语一乐园, the Wonderland for Indigenous Languages. And it contains the major dialects of all 16 indigenous languages in Taiwan, including Formosan languages and Yami. And it has all the audio files for all five Bunun dialects, although it is a little bit didactic. Even though the audio files are quite didactic or very carefully spoken, we still believe it carries some phonological or prosodic intuitions or the implicit prosodic knowledge of these native speakers. And the contents include some vocabulary, basic sentences, conversations, and short texts, as well as a series of graded language learning materials by the ALCD. And this is the phonological background of Takitudu. It has 16 consonantal phonemes and 3 vowels with length distinctions. And the three underlying vowels can be combined freely to form diphthongs. The syllable is CV and optionally a second vowel and a coda. And it has a minimal word of bimoricity. It has final stress where the H star falls on the final mora. To compare Takitudu with other Bunun dialects in terms of prosody, Takitudu is special because it is one because the stress position of Takitudu is final, while the other dialects is by default a penultimate stress has has a default penultimate stress unless the final syllable is a heavy one. And the pitch accent of Takitudu is quite clearly an H star, while the other dialects exhibit more variations between the LH or the rising tone versus the high level tone. As for the word final edge tone, there's no obvious evidence for Takitudu, while the other dialects show clearly a post-tonic low or falling pitch contour, which is annotated as L% in Macaulay 2021, which is theoretically near the prosodic word final or probably phrase final low tone. As for the pronunciation of the enclitics, Takitudu features its high-toned enclitic pronunciation in the mid of the clause, and at a sentence final position, Takitudu enclitics will be pronounced as its edge tone, which is determined by mostly the sentence type. While in other dialects, Macaulay proposed that there is a separate H star for the enclitics, and the H star causes the post-tonic syllables to show pitch plateauing, or at least in some data, we have found that there is an interpolation from the H star of the word, not the enclitic itself, to the word final H tone, and it is sometimes just totally low toned. The close final H tone is very special in Takitudu because it has a three-way contrast between L%, H%, or 0%, where the percent should correspond to the intonational phrase in the prosodic hierarchy. While in other dialects, there's mostly an H% for polar questions, but probably there's no three-way contrast among sentence types. And let us make a very brief comparison between Takitudu and Takibaka enclitic pronunciation. We can see that in Takitudu, enclitics are high toned. For example, in this sentence, it is pronounced like Mindangkajinza Boak. We can find that in the enclitic syllables in and za, these enclitics are both high toned along with the last syllable of the gat syllable of the last content word here. While in Takibaka, enclitics are impressionistically low toned, or acoustically speaking, we can see that there is an obvious interpolation between the H and L targets. So it is pronounced like Mindangkajina Boak. And these are the phonological enclitics in Takitudu. They are distributed in different word classes, including bound personal pronouns, case markers, demonstratives, tense aspect, modality marker, causal linkers, and some miscellaneous word classes, which is some of which are not yet determined what it actually means. The research questions is stated as the following. First, how are enclitics in Takitudu realized in terms of, especially in terms of pitch? So sentence medially, do they show persistent high pitch or do they significantly descend? And sentence finally, how do they interact with sentential intonation? The second question is that how can we analyze the patterns of pitch realization in terms of phonological representations or theories? And some third question is that are there any interspeaker or lexical variations or idiosyncrasies as such in the system? So we use the online materials, and especially we did quantitative analysis based on the graded language learning materials, and we have currently analyzed the first 5 levels out of the 12 levels of this dialect. Speech identification was done by ear, and we have identified one child, one female who's the most frequent speaker, and 2 other male speakers so far. And we have collected more than 2,000 syllables in about 879 so-called tone groups, by which means the phonological word plus a series of phonological enclitics. And the annotation was conducted in Pratt. We have used a series of tiers, including tone, voice or the southern rhyme, syllable, word, gloss, utterance, and a misc containing some remarks for some prosodic annotation which is uncertain. The acoustic analysis process is stated here. We annotate and extract F0 mostly with prod and under the help of the Prosodic Pro script, plus some customized script which extracts the information from the text script. The interval of annotation, the interval of F0 extraction is more or less corresponds to the sonorous part of each rhyme. We extract time normalized F0 at 10 equidistant points, and we modify the Prosodic Pro script a little bit so as to generate syllable-wise ensemble files. As for the pitch values, we try to normalize different speakers at F0 values into a similar scale using Joule's log z-score method. So every F0 is turned to a logarithm value at first, and then this value and the difference of the mean value of the same speaker is then divided by the standard deviation of the speaker, which that is how the z-score is calculated. For sentence non-final or sentence medial words, we can see that this is just a yeah this is a mean f0 pitch of the at each point of the word. So we can see that in the pretonic syllable, it is generally pronounced in a low tone with a slightly falling, but it is generally a low tone. And for the tonic or the stressed syllable, for the simple or the short vowels, we can see there is a quite high level high level tone on this syllable, but a rising tone from low to high if the nucleus is bimoraic or it is long. And this is an analysis of the word level intonation. We can see that, for example, like utterance medially, a word like this will be pronounced like amin, amin. And if the final syllable has a long vowel, it will be pronounced like ngan, ngan. However, utterance finally, we can find some other tonal elements, like when the same word is placed sentence finally, it will be pronounced like amin, amin versus ngan, ngan. So we can find that utterance finally there is an additional low boundary tone here, which we will demonstrate later. That is for the declaratives, imperatives, etc., the orange line, we can see a high-low contour or falling contour on the tonic syllable, and a low-high-low pitch contour is for a long tonic syllable. We may say that stress could fall on the final mora while where this H star is associated with. And the pretonic low tone can be explained as a default low tone or a left-aligned word boundary low tone, which is realized on all pretonic syllables and at the beginning of the long or double V final syllables. The post-tonic L only appears in the final position of a declarative utterance, so it should be a close level or intonational phrase level boundary tone like L iota, which is in annotation equivalent to L percentage. And unlike other dialects, Takitudu does not have an L omega or something like. And as for other sentence final words, we can see there is a three-way contrast. The gray line is the sentence medial word that serves as a base of contrast, the base of comparison. We just see with an L percentage, the falling tone is quite obvious, and there are two other ways to realize the sentence final tonic syllables. With a 0% in mostly WH questions, the purple line here, it is realized like a lower high level. The lower part could be attributed to the downtrend of the sentence. And with the H percentage for polar questions, we can see there is a continuing hard targets reaching a very high pitch position even than the word medial tonic syllable, sentence medial tonic syllable. And just like the cases of long tonic syllables with an HL percent, these all other All other syllables begins with a low initial tone with a long vowel. And the edge tone of Takitudu can be characterized here like we have a high rising pitch contour for polar interrogatives, mid-high level or lower high levels for at least some interrogatives. And for declaratives and imperatives, etc., it has a high falling pitch. So with this word, I just demonstrate with this word. So with a H percentage, it is pronounced like patas, and with a mid-high level, it is like maasa sansuka patas, and then the L percentage will be pronounced like mapatas. Okay, so as for the non-final words followed by enclitics, we can see that the enclitic syllables continues the high pitch height of the preceding L of the tonic syllable here. The first two syllables just look the same as the previous slide, and we can see the enclitic syllable is persistently realized as a high-level tone. And as for sentence final words with enclitics, we can see that in the tonic syllable, the pitch ends at a similar pitch height, and the pitch starts diverging right after the enclitic begins. That is, we can see a three-way contrast. So it's like majalas, and then ijimaza, madangkaza, hakaili, and then maunin. We can see that it is mostly the enclitic syllable which carry the edge tone. So a presumable analysis is that it's like that the H star spreads rightward when there is no edge tone, and when there is a sentential edge tone, it is mostly realized on the domain final enclitic, which probably prevents the spreading of the syllable of the pitch accent from the preceding phonological word. So to summarize, we can see Takitudu features the LH melody, and the right edge tone exists at the clause or sentential level. There is three-way contrast. The enclitics are high tone medially, but they carry the edge tone at the end of the sentence. And there are some speaker variation that there is a speaker where his falling tone is very hard to tell from like the utterance of H star 0%. However, the falling the falling pitch is more distinguishable on the enclitic syllable here. And among the enclitics, there is a enclitic which is probably exceptional because like magua zuna, the zuna thing exhibits an exceptional pitch pattern like a high plus low pitch. It is still not clear what zuna means. It is sometimes separable, and probably it bears an idiosyncratic tonal target. And probably an alternative explanation is that this is a disyllabic enclitic which cannot be which may not fit in the usual enclitic schema, or and there are some prosodic structures so that it cannot be well incorporated into the enclitic group. And there are still some special enclitics, like maza is sometimes enclitic-like and proclitic-like for different speakers. And some sentence final enclitics do not follow generalizations above, like the question particle ka and another particle na, which exhibit falling or low intonation. And plus, some sentence medial particles receive a high tone target, and also in other dialects. It is probably another case of fixed pitch target, or some special case like a high phrasal tone for these sentence medial particles, as suggested by, for example, like other languages like Kanakanavu. The topic marker like ya also receives a high right boundary tone. And this is the end of our presentation. And thank you very much for your listening. Nokomitang Salah. And we thank these people for their assistance.